My name is Greg, and this is my story. For a long time, I felt like I was living my life in a courtroom. Every day, I would wake up and begin the process of having to prove myself to my judge. Sometimes that judge was myself, and I would lay awake at the end of the day trying to count up my performance during that day, all the good works that I had done. And if it was good enough, I'd be able to sleep well, and if it wasn't good enough, which was most of the time, I wouldn't be able to sleep so well. Sometimes that judge was God, and it looked like me, sort of very similar, trying to amass all of my good performance together, sort of to build a case for myself, so that hopefully I could be accepted before Him. And sometimes that judge was other people, my friends, my parents, my pastors. It was almost like they became my God, and it was like I would do anything to serve them and to get them to like me. I would even change who I was. I would change my appearance and put on a sort of facade to make myself more presentable, more acceptable, more desirable, more lovable. After I had lived here in this church community that I've been a part of here for about a year, really living life on life with people closer in a way that I haven't ever before, I was able to come to a place where I was able to be honest with them about what I was feeling. I was feeling a lot of anger, very frustrated, very anxious a lot, extremely just a smoldering high temperature of a man, just very angry, because it seemed like I could never say no to anything. I was saying yes to all these schedule commitments and everything I could get my hands on, and it didn't matter how well I performed or how hard I worked during those things. I could never find rest at the end of my day or at the end of my weekend. And after about a year, I became extremely burnt out. And I came to my community and I just told them, I said, I am very angry, I'm very stressed out, I need some help. Although that was a really hard step for me, I found that by sharing it and by having a lot of conversations and just working through that in the context of God's church, I realized there was a lie that was deep at the heart of everything that was going on. And the lie was that God is not gracious, and therefore I have to prove myself to Him, to myself, to everyone. When God really started to bring a certain truth to light, I really started to experience rest. This truth is best expressed, I think, in 2 Corinthians 5. Paul, speaking about Jesus in verse 21, says, "For our sake, God made Him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in Him we might become the righteousness of God." You see, a lot of my problem was that it didn't matter how much evidence or how good performance or how much hard work I brought to the table in God's courtroom, it just was never good enough. But now I realize that all along, my acceptance isn't based on what I do, but on what Jesus Christ has done on my behalf. I realize that when God the judge looks at me, He sees Christ's righteousness, and that on the cross, when God looked at Jesus, He saw my sin. And there's real rest in there for those who live their days in a courtroom of performance. There's real joy, there's real hope, there's a real deep breath of rest in that.